this is a personal submission. My apologies for the couple of typos in there, but I was having to cross-check the HPC submission, and I filed this one at 11:59 online, so I had to hurry it through. This is done as a person who's lived in the central city for a number of years and planning to get back as soon as possible, earthquake damage permitting. So I've submitted this, and the reason I've asked this, it doesn't affect the council money. It's a case of policy and a reconsidering of policy, so I'm not asking for additional funding, etc. I'm just asking the council considering. I'd like to ask that the council, along with others, I understand, is just to renegotiate the current cost-sharing agreement with the CCU and the government on the anchor projects. I consider that a more extended time frame would be more beneficial to the city and allow the city to absorb the change of what's going on in the central city. On a personal thing, I would ask that the council, and this is derived from a number of observations and conversations I've had in the central city with small business owners, as opposed to the building owners. This is the people who are trading on the central city each day who've shown a commitment to the central city. I'd ask the council to initiate the development of a comprehensive business plan, including marketing for the regeneration of the central city. I consider it very important so that those who are trading in the central city can identify, and I've noticed they can't tell you what the plan is for the central city. I mean, they can tell you what the malls are doing and what are the themes of the malls, but they can't articulate what that is. Now, if they're going to show a commitment to the central city, it would be nice that they knew where they thought the central city was going. They could articulate it easily, and I think that's not an unreasonable request. I'd also submit that the council review all spending on the central city and transition projects externally and internally as part of this focus on the business plan, with the aim of existing businesses and prospective businesses. And the council staff are to be commended for making the attempts to make the CBD look visually vibrant. However, I think the city now needs to review the policy. I think it's time that we've bypassed transition and started to concentrate on urban regeneration within the central city, and with a focus also on working with those existing businesses and those new businesses that are coming here as well. An example of urban regeneration I think is an outstanding success is the arcades taking through to Victoria Street from Victoria Square. I think that whilst it's perceived as a temporary one, I think it made some measurable contribution to the city. I'm not sure, I think if I recall a golf course, etc., transitions would work well up to now. I think it's time that we showed some commitment to the central city by making a more design-led solution to that one. So I'm emphasising more of urban regeneration as opposed to transition projects of a temporary nature. I think a coordinator with the council, I noticed this council some internal ones and external ones, and a uniform way of processing so that the effects and generation effects they try and how they're audited are the same would be advantageous as well. And I'd also submit that the council seriously consider setting up a committee of council to provide leadership and oversee the redevelopment of the CBD. This committee will have a number of issues to deal with, ensuring that the central city and the businesses contained with it are able to regenerate despite the exuberant competition from the suburbs. I note as an example that CCDU is planning to markedly increase the number of residents in the central city who will be seeking representation in this special area. Now, the planning and practical issues alone of where the marked influx for the central city meets the businesses are going to have to be resolved, and I suspect that the council would agreement that the resolution would be better if it wasn't in the Environment Court, which it may do as they butt ahead, as the process is going through, if some sort of resolution or mediation to stop the clashes will happen, which won't be foreseen by the plan. At a marked increase, this is going to be a special area, and I'm drawing upon my experience in the past, where as a resident, the community board, it doesn't quite provide the same coverage because the central city is intrinsically different for the mix of people who are living there and the reasons why they're there. And I'm not sure that a community board hasn't managed to do so in the past, will succeed with others. I think a council who are finally focused on this. Now, I understand there may be overlaps with CCDU, but you are stakeholders and our consultant and the council staff work with them. So I'd ask for that. And as an aside, as like one of the issues that's coming up now, I note that there's a super stop planned in Manchester Street as part of the bus accessible city. The closest rest area toilet facility is in Cathedral Junction, which is privately provided, and I got thinking there aren't many, as far as I can see, planned rest facilities or toilets in the central city. And if the tourists are going to be walking around and they're not partaking of a particular restaurant or coffee shop, where do they go? Which is just one practical response.
Okay.
Thank you.
Paul?
Just a quickie.
the transitional projects that we've had in Central City have actually put us on the world map as changing the way people view Christchurch. And I just want to get a sense, you say that we should have more of the urban regeneration, but you could argue that the transitional is urban regeneration.
I understand that, and I understand it's an appropriateness for what was a solution to reinvigorate the city in view of the circumstances that were there. What I'm seeking and what I suggest is to time to crank it up, in other words, is go for what a more permanent solution. Those are temporary, as far as I understand, are designed to be transitional, which is why I cited the arcades, which is temporary but looks like it's going to be part of a contribution, so that it looks more definite, so it's the next stage up. More permanent. Sort
of like, to take Victoria Street, it's like 90% built. Should we be allowing temporary stuff still to be on there when it's almost completed?
Yeah, I understand where you're coming from. I think it's an opportunity to get the architects, urban designers and the youngsters involved, and I think the architects is a good solution. The arcades is the next step up from the temporary transition. That's why I cited that one. More of those projects, and a lot of the central city is still sitting empty. There's building sites where there's not a lot going on, and it would be nice if they started looking presentable and the central city looked like it's now moving.
Thank you very much, Mark.
Thank you very much.
And David Close.